2019, Audi introduced its first all-electric vehicle, the e-tron SUV. In the years since, the e-tron name has been applied to every new EV, so it made sense to give it a typical Audi model name to place it in the lineup. What we have here is the 2024 Audi Q8 e-tron, which starts with the previous e-tron's running gear, but adds a whole lot of upgrades. But before we get into that, do us a favor and hit like and subscribe below to get all of our latest reviews. From the outside, the Q8 e-tron looks very similar to the previous e-tron. There's some new details in the lights and in the grille, but otherwise, this amounts to what we'd expect from a mid-cycle refresh. In a lot of ways, Audi's initial push into the electric space is more conservative than other car makers, as they tend to look more like conventional gas-powered vehicles. At a quick glance, it'd be easy to mistake this for one of those gas-powered vehicles. This could help some shoppers ease into their first EV, especially if they're not yet used to the styling of other electric cars. This e-tron also makes it easier to adapt to the way it drives, and we'll get to that in a bit. In the floor of this Q8 e-tron is a 106 kilowatt-hour battery pack. That's up from 95 kilowatt-hours in its predecessor. It powers a motor on each axle for all-wheel drive, and these motors have been upgraded for more efficiency. Combined, they produce 402 horsepower. The old e-tron was rated at 355, but was capable of 402 horsepower in short bursts in sport mode. More efficiency and a larger battery means more range, and the Q8 e-tron is now estimated at 285 miles on a full charge. That's a big improvement over the previous 222-mile range. If you opt for the Sportback model like this, with its more aerodynamic roofline, range extends to 296 miles. This should be plenty for most drivers, but there's also an optional Ultra package that gets you 300 miles with low rolling resistance tires, smaller wheels, and a lower ride height. This all comes together really well behind the wheel, so let's go for a spin. As with any EV, the Q8 e-tron's acceleration is immediate and very smooth. Audi says it'll reach 60 miles an hour in 5.3 seconds, which is slower than some rivals, but way quicker than most drivers will ever need. As fun as launching to 60 miles an hour may be, that novelty wears off fairly quickly. As I mentioned earlier, Audi aims to make their EVs a little easier to adapt to. Unlike other EVs, they don't offer one-pedal driving, which is where you don't have to touch the brake pedal to come to a complete stop. But here, you drive it just like you would a gas-powered car. It'll take you almost down to a stop, but you have to tap the brake pedal right around 4 miles an hour or so. Personally, I like one-pedal driving, but I get Audi's decision. Still, I would have appreciated at least the option to have it. But where do you stand on one-pedal driving? Are you a big fan of it as I am, or is it not even a concern? Let us know in the comments below. The e-tron does pretty well in the curves, having all of its weight down on the floor with all those batteries. It's reasonably sporty, but with a curb weight getting close to 6,000 pounds, it's not the kind of car you want to drive that hard. There's plenty of grip and traction, and I can imagine if you get the Ultra package with those low rolling resistance tires, probably won't be as confident in these curves. The ride quality is pleasantly comfortable, and the bumps are easily smoothed over. The cabin is incredibly quiet, with barely any road or wind noise, which reduces fatigue on long road trips. And it really spotlights the clarity and power of the audio system. Overall, the SQ8 e-tron is a joy to drive, whether you're new to EVs or an old pro. Now, there's a lot more to talk about, especially with the interior, so let's pull over and have a chat. Inside the Q8 e-tron, it's nearly identical to the e-tron SUV it replaces. You still get a digital instrument panel, a main infotainment touchscreen, and a smaller touchscreen below for climate controls. New this time around are some open-pore wood trim elements that tend to make the interior feel a little more warm and inviting. Now, I'm not a fan of these separate climate controls placed down here low in the center stack because while you're driving, it's actually kind of distracting to use. The good news is, once you set it, you rarely have to adjust it afterwards. The front seats are very comfortable and supportive and offer a seat back massage, which should lessen a lot of the fatigue on longer road trips. In this top trim, they're also ventilated and they work really well. As far as tech is concerned, you have wireless versions of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You also get a wireless charging pad here in the center console. Now, It's kind of out of the way, so it's easy to forget your phone in the car when you leave, but you do get a voice reminder that the phone is still in the car. In this top launch trim, we also have a surround view camera monitor, a head-up display, and premium audio. You also get all of the typical safety features and driver assistance, and in my drives, they've all worked as advertised. Here in the rear seats, I have an adequate amount of space. I'm 5'10", sitting behind the driver's seat, which is set for me, and as you can see, I have plenty of legroom and space under the seat for my feet. As far as headroom goes, I am getting close to the limit here, but it's worth noting that this is the Sportback, has slightly less headroom. If you go for the standard SUV, you'll get almost 3/4 of an inch more headroom. All models come with 4-zone automatic climate control right here, and you also have 2 USB charge ports below. These seats are slightly elevated compared to the front seats, and that gives you a pretty good view out the front, making it feel less closed in back here. For privacy or protection, you also have these manual sunshades here. This Q8 Sportback can hold 27.2 cubic feet of cargo behind the rear seats, and as you can see, that space is huge. There's also a handy bin underneath, so you can keep stuff more hidden. Now, most coupe-like SUVs tend to sacrifice cargo capacity, but the Q8 e-tron really doesn't. The standard non-Sportback e-tron can hold 28.5 cubic feet, which is negligible in my book. Prices start right around $75,000 for the base premium trim and climb to almost $90,000 for this loaded launch edition model. The BMW iX starts around this price and tops out about $115,000. The Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV starts closer to $80,000 and pushes to $110,000 at the top. But it's worth pointing out that these top models in the BMW and Benz, while those are high-performance models, but Audi does have plans to introduce an SQ8 e-tron in the future. This e-tron's 296-mile range also compares well to those rivals. The BMW iX is estimated between 288 and 324 miles, while the EQE is rated between 253 and 279 miles. When you need to charge, the e-tron is capable of DC fast charging up to 170 kilowatts. That should get you from 10% to 80% in about 31 minutes, which is about average for the class. Audi sweetens the deal by offering free charging on the Electrify America network for 2 years. In this class of electric luxury SUVs, the Mercedes-Benz EQE favors luxury and refinement, while the BMW iX puts greater emphasis on performance. This Audi Q8 e-tron, it sort of splits the difference and adds an edgier, tech-heavy personality to the mix. You can't go wrong with any of these, as they're all great choices. So what would you pick? Let us know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe below, and we'll see you in the next review.